We're here today at the Middlesex Mall, and I'm here with former Mayor Neary. It's not the League of Municipalities, it's not a mayor's conference, but we're here today to talk about pedestrian safety. And Bill, working at the Keep Middlesex Moving is one of his priorities, and as you know, that's become one of our priorities. And as we look at reshaping and redoing all of the Route 18 corridor, and we're concentrating, as most of you know already, on that north end, where we're trying to put together mixed-use communities centered around transportation as the hub, and become what would be determined a transportation-oriented development. And in those type of areas, one of the key components is going to be walkability, green space, the ability for people to get around without the need of cars so that they can actually depend upon walking, bikes, public transportation. And all of that becomes important as we start to redesign the Route 18 of the future. And that's exactly the type of work you've been working on. We, in fact, have worked out a bike path which would go and be extended throughout the entire township so that the ability for people to use alternative modes of transportation is a key part of redevelopment, not only on Route 18, but throughout the entire township of East Brunswick. And as we do that, we have to do that in a way that we maintain pedestrian safety. It's a key concern of ours. People need to slow down. They need to be aware of signs. They need to be aware of traffic around them. And I think if I'm not going to steal your thunder, that's really the crux of this whole program. So maybe you could do a little bit to explain exactly what we're doing here and what the program's about.
Thank you. It is the crux, but basically for the past 30 years, Keep Middlesex Moving has been providing transportation and alternative. And I think one of the things important about East Brunswick, of course, is your vision for what's going to be in the future really is walkability.
Correct.
And walkability is an important part of what we do at Keep Middlesex Moving. And I think the important part of that is understanding East Brunswick, when we're looking at a pedestrian area where it's really someplace where a lot of people are to walk across streets and everything else, there really isn't a whole lot of neighborhoods where you see pedestrians. But not everybody's aware of the fact that when you get out of your vehicle, you are a pedestrian. And Middlesex Mall and our other shopping centers are just as much a place for pedestrians and pedestrian crashes as any place else. So we chose this location here to try and promote the Street Smart campaign. Okay. Street Smart campaign is endorsed and supported by the North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority. They are providing us the marketing materials, which is basically posters, campaign literature. They're going to have tip cards we're going to be giving out, coffee cup holders, to try and let the people be aware of all the rules of pedestrian safety. We do a survey of the residents. We've been trying to get people to make sure they take this survey. We do have a random drawing for a prize for people who do take it. And I think this is the type of location where you can actually see activities with pedestrians that need to be reminded of the safety features of what pedestrian safety is all about.
Great. And I think that the future is that you're going to extend that way beyond what we already have here, and that the cities and the towns of the future have that as its core. And where that might not have always been the priority in the past, that becomes sort of a focus now.
Well, one of the things, of course, we all know about is the millennial generation is not happy about having to get a car. It's expensive. Right. And I think they're even saying today that a child born today may never have to learn how to drive a car because of self-driving automobiles. But with that being said, the baby boomers are also, like me, are not going to be able to drive forever either. So we need walkable communities. We need locations where we can get to without having to drive our car all the time. And that makes pedestrian safety even more critical. Statistically, pedestrian crashes are on the rise. New Jersey is one of the flashpoints for too many pedestrian crashes. So this is why the North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority is certainly trying to do this education campaign. They're working with the different communities, with the police departments, with the engineering departments, to make sure it's safer through enforcement, through education, and through the engineering parts of it. So I think the overall goal here is to work a comprehensive plan. A lot of the smaller communities in Middlesex County have downtowns. They have pedestrian streets. They're much more aware of some of the other issues. I think a town as nice as East Brunswick and as progressive and as intelligent people that are here need to be reminded that they are pedestrians and they have to be careful because there's an awful lot of cars around.
That's true. I think the other thing that people forget, and it might not be intuitively logical, but that suburbs were engineered in a manner that actually does not help prevent accidents, despite how illogical that sounds. When people moved out of big cities, which are basically all at right angles, all the roads, suburbs weren't designed that way. The roads were wider, the roads were more curved, and it actually visually gives the driver the sense that they have more space, and they can move a car right or left simply with a finger versus actually having to turn the whole arm. So the instinct, the psychology of it is that it actually promotes faster driving in an area where you're not routinely expecting to see pedestrians. In cities, you expect them on the side roads, and everything's at a right angle. So you get to the end of the street, you have to stop. That is not how suburbs were designed. And as we re-engineer our roads and our highways and our cities of the future, we need to keep that in mind. And if we're going to put bike paths, it visually narrows the road. It instinctually allows people to slow down. If they start seeing people there, you got the signage, all of that's going to be critical as we try to slow people down and keep them concentrating on the fact that pedestrians matter and they could be anywhere, and the design is going to be different than what you expect in a city, and we can do that, but it starts with education, which is why I'm so happy that you're doing what you're doing and promoting this now, so we could do and be proactive to prevent accidents that we know will occur without thinking about it ahead of time.
Well, some of our other programs are also our Safe Routes to School program, teaching the kids how to walk to school safely. I mean, back in the day when we did that. We've done it in several schools. We're doing more of it. Right. We have a pedestrian safety program working with the senior center to remind them about pedestrian safety. We have paint the pavement programs for pedestrians who are distracted pedestrians. So we have a variety of different programs that are all tied into the same idea of pedestrian safety. And I think the overall goal that we're talking about is the connectivity of the cities. That was everybody could kind of walk to a place, doesn't exist in the suburbs. And I appreciate your leadership in this, Mayor. I think it's a great thing that we're doing for the town, because as the future comes along, you're going to find a walkable community is a much more desirable community and a much safer community for people to live in. So congratulations on your vision.
Thank you very much. And thanks for your program.